Just a PSA, the primary goal of foster care is reunification. Hello, my name is Lauren and this channel is called Lauren Fosters, where we talk about all things adoption and foster care related, and we're going to talk about reunification here for just a moment. One, because we definitely haven't talked about it enough on my channel, and two, because I don't think most people realize when they get into fostering that the primary goal of foster care is not adoption. The very first and foremost goal of foster care is always going to be reunification. When a child is able to reunify with their biological parents or whoever their caregiver was that they were removed from. Like, we could literally in the video there's no debate here. Like, that is the primary goal. No, it doesn't matter what state you're in. Hopefully it doesn't matter what country you're in. The goal is always reunification before it becomes anything else. So if you're someone that's looking into foster care for the first time, or maybe you're a new foster parent, or maybe you've even been doing this for a while, I think it's so important that you understand that really the goal here is for families to reunify, for families to stay together whenever it's safe and it's possible. And if that's not something you're willing to sign up for, if that's not something that your heart can handle, then foster care just might not be for you. And I know that sounds super duper harsh, but the objective of foster care, of us as foster homes, is to be a safe place for kids to land while their families are working their services. I think I have a video out there about parents working services, or I kind of explain it a little bit, but basically when a child is removed from their biological parents, or once again, whoever their original caregiver was, that caregiver is then given a list of to-dos. Basically, they're given some sort of service plan, which basically could be anything from going to drug rehab or anger management. Maybe it's parenting classes. Maybe they're asked to go to therapy, to get a job, maybe to look for an apartment or a place to live, or being willing to go to a shelter. Depending on the states, I've seen them be a little stricter on these lists, like you must complete all 10 steps or whatever. You must do all the things in order to be reunified with your child. And in other cases I've seen where they say, hey, as long as it looks like you're attempting these things, you've gotten a good amount of them done, you seem like you're really trying and putting in the effort, they'll let something slide, because maybe a parent can't get a job right away, or maybe finding an apartment or a place to stay is a little harder in that particular area. So I have seen some leeway, and I have seen judges show absolutely no leeway. So once again, that might be dependent on your area. Point is that those parents have every right to work these services. And because we as foster parents aren't the judge, we're not the caseworker, we're not the child's lawyer, our only job is to be a safe haven for them while that's all getting sorted out. I've watched parents work so incredibly hard and get their children reunified, so rightfully so, and I've cheered them on the entire way and just been so proud of them for getting whatever they needed to get together. I've also seen parents completely walk away from their service plans and the case and just go MIA. I feel like as foster parents, we have to be really careful not to get our own biases involved. And I feel like it's my job to kind of just cheer these parents on from a distance, because frankly, I wasn't there. I know what case detail I've been given. And I'll say this, look, some of the case details that we're handed as foster parents is just horrific. Like, we know that these poor kids have been through it. So it's hard not to hope that they don't walk back into whatever scenario they were taken from. I understand that, but because these parents have a right to a second chance or to turn around the things that have been wronged, I don't think it's fair to kind of put our judgment out there, especially in front of our foster kids. I've never taken the stance of throwing these parents under the bus or bad-mouthing them or talking bad about them because maybe they didn't show up to a visit and they should have known better or whatever. I try to keep those opinions out of there. And once again, I know that gets frustrating because some of you that have been doing this for a while, you've had to pick up those broken pieces when a child has been disappointed because maybe mom or dad have walked away from a case or just not shown up to visits or aren't working their service plan, but you have a child that's asking questions like, when am I going to see mom and dad again? Or those are hard moments. And I'm not suggesting in any sort of way, or at least I'm not trying to suggest that you shouldn't have whatever feelings you have about that. I think it's fair for us to get frustrated and upset in those moments and just be real. But at the same time, these parents do have every right to work their service plan. We're not to step in the way of that. I have heard of foster parents talking bad about parents or trying to kind of catch them at things and point things out to the judge and really bad talk them even to the caseworker and that kind of thing. Like, I really just don't think that's our place as foster parents. That's my own personal opinion. Once again, everything I say on my channel, by the way, is just from my own personal opinion and my own personal 2 cents. Even my own opinions have changed over the years on certain things. So who knows, maybe in a few years I'll have a different song to sing about it. I just don't think it's fair for us as foster parents to be the thing that stands in the way of a parent and a child reunifying when it's safe and when it's possible, because sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not possible because the parent walks away, and sometimes it's just flat out not safe. You hear the term a lot in foster care, in the best interest of the child. That is always what the caseworker's looking at, what the judge is looking at, what the ad litem is looking at, maybe the CASA, whoever else is involved. They're always looking at what is the best interest of the child, what is in the best interest of the child. And that isn't always determined by what the child wants. So like maybe the child wants to go home, but maybe it's not in the best interest of the child for them to go back home, or maybe they tried reunification failed. I've even heard of a couple kids reunifying more than once, and then them saying like, hey, you know, third, fourth time's a charm. We got to call this done because it's not safe. But I don't think I've ever heard it the other way around, where a child does not want to go home and they just force the child to go home. I'm sure that happens as well too, unfortunately. But the best interest of the child is usually, did these parents work their service plans? Does it seem like they have become a safe place and can provide for this child? And their standards may look different than your and my standards. Like maybe your standards are like sky high. Like you're like, well, if they have 4 kids, each kid should have a bedroom. They should have so many bathrooms and so much square footage. It should be in a good neighborhood with a good school. Well, that is not necessarily the standards that the judge or the caseworker or anybody else is looking into. It could be a mom with 8 kids and they could be in a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom trailer. But being able to keep a family together will always trump any kind of like razzle dazzle a foster parent is gonna throw into things. You know, they don't have to provide this child with the best shoes and the coolest outfit and the best haircut. They just need to make sure that this child is loved and safe and their basic needs are met, you know, that they can eat and drink and, you know, get an education. But don't be surprised if a judge signs off on kids reunifying into a situation that may not be something you would have chosen for them, because at the end of the day, it's not up for us to choose. Like, we don't get to choose what kind of lifestyle they live. We don't get to choose their social class or what kind of belief systems they have with their biological family. We don't get to choose that for them. So I'll say it again, the primary goal of foster care is reunification every single time, and that often trumps a lot of other things. You'll find in some places they'll move permanency goals around during a case. I talk about that in another video, but they might start with reunification, and then if this case starts kind of going sour, or parents have, you know, gone missing or given up on working service plans, maybe they'll start saying permanency goals or things like or guardianship or adoption. But in a lot of places, it's not uncommon for them to keep that permanency goal of reunification all the way up to the very end, even if it looks like they might terminate parental rights. So don't be surprised if you see that during a case, because once again, if you hadn't gotten it from me saying it several times in this video or from the title of this video, reunification is the primary goal of foster care. So when it comes to foster care, reunification is king. I hope that helps, and I will see you next time. All right, bye.